Hey, what is going on, guys? Lee Sanders back with you all for a new edition of the RCWR show. Hope you guys been fantastic, man. Feels like it's been a eternity since last I was on the air with you guys. Picked a good time to tune in this week. Come one, come all, stay a while. Definitely going to be talking about fallout from tonight's WWE Raw this week. Came to us from Norfolk, Virginia. Not too far. I mean, it's in my neck of the woods here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. We call it the DMV. So always good. I know there was some stuff that had went down over the weekend in Fairfax, Virginia. I used to live in Fairfax for a good number of years. One of the last times I had did some cool stuff in Fairfax, I actually had went and saw Soundgarden, and boy, was that a magical, cool, kick-ass night! A moment that I still cherish to this very day, and everything. Maybe one of these days I'll show some of the pictures that I had took, and I know there's one picture I took where I had my memorabilia, and it wasn't quite VIP, at least not the VIP I was expecting, because I did pay for VIP tickets and there was like all these really cool perks and all that, but like, the VIP experience really wasn't that good when it was all said and done. But yeah, we'll talk about the results from that Fairfax event for sure. A lot of stuff kind of seemed to have gone down since last we were on the air. Of course, when we were here last week, we were talking about Roman Reigns. He's doing something with 619 Rey Mysterio. Oh, they doing something with AAA. Okay, and we were going through the dates there for Mexico and all that, and I'm going, okay, look, if they're gonna get Roman Reigns involved with the AAA event, and now it seems they're gonna have him be involved on the September 14th edition of Monday Night Raw from Mexico City, where basically whoever wins this tournament, this luchador tournament, they will face Roman for his World Heavyweight Championship on that Monday Night Raw in Mexico City. So you're kind of going, wah, wah, wah. It's like, I wish it could have been a case where we got Roman on the AAA show. That would have been so better, but okay. Hey, we'll take what we can get, right? We'll definitely take what we can get. It is what it is, but interesting stuff that's happened since last I was on there. Hey, before we get ready to dive into everything, I do have polls up right now. I want to know what you had thought about this week's Raw from Norfolk, Virginia. So sound off. We got a live interactive poll that's up on youtube.com/, the RCWR show. Click on the post section when you're there, and you'll be able to vote that way. For those of you that are trickling on in and you're watching the YouTube stream, we have the live chat that is open right now with the interactive poll. So you guys can definitely vote that way as well. So have at it, my pretty, pretty babies. Hey, look, before we get ready to dive into things, I want to just say this at the very top. We had two passings that went down. Actually, no, we had three passings that went down this week. We this past week we had Dory Funk, wrestling legend, and I will definitely give him his respective flowers later on during the show. We also had legendary NBA coach and player Don Nelson. He passed away. And then such a sad, tragic story that I'll tell you guys about later on. There was a Mexican female wrestler who made the transition into reporting the news. She became a television reporter and everything. She passed away at the age of 48 years old, and it's just so sad, so very tragic how she passed away. Her name is, bear with me a second here. It's Diana. Hang on, Diana La Cazadora. Diana La Cazadora. She had passed away at the age of 48. So, to everybody, friends, family, colleagues of those people, definitely my thoughts, prayers, condolences are with you. Like I said, we'll definitely talk more about them as we go deeper into the show. But I wanted to acknowledge them here and now as we open things up and whatnot. So, yeah, as I was talking about earlier, WWE, they were out here in Virginia. And one of the first things that came across my social media feed going into the weekend, there was a post by Charlotte Flair, who I follow, and I love checking out all the cool stuff that she posts. She's usually posting uplifting messages. Hey, hope you're staying beautiful. Hope you're being kind out there, stuff like that. And she had said, Fairfax, I'm here. And I'm like, oh, she's in Fairfax, Virginia. Like, oh, okay, cool. Like, that's what's up. And I figured that if she was in Fairfax, Virginia, that meant that WWE had to be doing something. And obviously, it's for their little limited summer tour date that they're doing and all that. But yeah, they apparently were at the Eagle Bank Arena in Fairfax, Virginia. And I don't remember it as Eagle Bank Arena. When I was going there, I remember it as the Patriots Center. That's what I remember. So you'll definitely find some old heads such as myself still referring to the place as Patriot Center. But here's the results that happened from that show on August 6th. Charlotte Flair defeated JC Jane via DQ. And then apparently that got turned into some type of a six-woman tag match as Charlotte teamed up with Tiffany Stratton to face Chelsea Green, Charlotte Flair, and Tiffany Stratton. They teamed up to defeat the team of Fatal Influences, JC Jane, Fallon Henley, and Laney Reed. Green ended up pinning Reed. Elsewhere for the United States Championship, Baron Corbin defeated Carmelo Hayes. Trick Williams apparently came in, I guess, trying to interfere or whatnot. Corbin ended up pinning Hayes. The Miz attacked Danhausen in the ring before their scheduled match, and then Obafemi comes to the ring for the save. Power bombs the hell out of the Miz. Referee counts the three for a Obafemi win, basically. So look, and this was the funny part. There was a video that was floating around on social media that basically showed Obafemi doing his entrance and or his pose. He was hitting his pose, and Danhausen basically slid out from between his legs. It was so funny seeing that, but at the same time, there was a lot of us that was seeing that on social media, and we were going, "Yo, do not WWE, do not have these two cross paths on WWE television. Like, seriously, we just can't take it." And I know I was so stunned when I had saw this. I literally had shared a image of Steve Harvey, and he just had this confused WTF facial expression. I shared that, and it had picked up so much traction on social media from folks. And yeah, like that's just how I felt because it was like, yo, we don't need Danhausen anywhere near Obafemi. Like, seriously, we're okay. Thank you. We're okay. I would like to say to you guys that tonight was that tonight was a Danhausen free edition of Monday Night Raw. It wasn't, but at the same time, Danhausen did make a brief cameo tonight. He was on TV for like about, I would say, 30 seconds at most, and that pretty much was it. So, hey, look, that's a win. That's a win as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, there's more matches that came from this Eagle Bank Arena event over the weekend in Fairfax. WWE World Tag Team Championship, Jimmy and Jay Uso defeated Champions Divisions, Braun Breaker and Austin Theory. via DQ. Meanwhile, for the AAA World Tag Team Championships, War Raiders, Eric and Ivar defeated Fraxium, Nathan Frazier, and Axiom. And then for the Intercontinental Championship, Chad Gable defeated Ethan Page via submission. Also, WWE Champion CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, they teamed up to defeat the team of Ricky Saints and Gunther. Punk paid tribute to Dory Funk Jr. afterwards with a spinning toe hold submission on Saints to basically pick up the win. So you had 8 matches that went down at that Fairfax show over the weekend. So good stuff. Love hearing that. And from Fairfax, we now jump to tonight's WWE Raw, which was in Norfolk, Virginia. Boy, some high stakes stuff. To kick things off, we had Solo Sokoa and Jay Uso with a heated confrontation, as Jay Uso has not been liking Solo these past couple of weeks, running around trash talking and everything, putting down the bloodline and all that, knowing damn well that Solo needs to be falling in line and he should be following in the ranks and listening to his tribal chief, Roman Reigns, and that he's pretty much sick and tired of how Solo has been operating these past couple of weeks, and he wants to shut his ass up once and for all. So, Jay putting out a challenge, pretty much telling Solo, look, we're gonna go at it one on one because this is gonna be the only way that I can pretty much shut your ass up and get your ass in line already. And when I do beat that ass, I'm going to personally be delivering you on a silver platter to the tribal chief. You will fall in line. You will join the bloodline. To which Solo Sikoa is like, all right, challenge accepted. I will see you in that ring later on tonight, one on one. So now, leading up to that match, Solo did cross paths with LA Knight. LA Knight not seeing any in ring action at all this week, but he was hanging out backstage, as Solo said to LA Knight, hey, you know how the bloodline likes to operate and everything. You got to be very, very careful here because, it's not just you that's trying to face Roman Reigns. You should know this by now. You're going to be facing the entire bloodline. Like, you can't trust yourself with those guys. And I'm just saying, look at what we had did a couple of weeks ago. We make a really great team. We really should be looking out for each other. LA Knight telling Solo Sokoa, hey, what we did in our tag team match SummerSlam weekend, that was a one-time deal. Told you that. I emphasized that. Not interested in running it back. You do your thing, I do my thing. And Solo pretty much told LA Knight, straight to his face, like, yo, I hear where you're coming from and everything, but that's not really a good approach to be having to this because there's a lot that's at stake here. You really, like, come on, dude, seriously. And that's the way LA Knight wanted it. That is the way LA Knight wanted it. So LA Knight did have a verbal exchange with Jacob Fatu, where he basically told Jacob, because Jacob was even like, yo, really getting sick and tired of you running your mouth every single week, talking about our family, talking about the tribal chief. LA Knight, well, what are you going to do about it? Like, you can't do anything because your boss told you not to touch me. So what are you going to do? I tell you what, once you go get your little permission slip, and maybe then you can do a little something something. And Jacob pretty much was like, look, I don't need no permission. I'll beat your ass where you stand right now. Jacob wasn't exactly backing down, but at the same time he did hold himself back, right? So this was good. I love that Jacob fought too, the way he was kind of displayed here and everything. I love that he showed just enough of a restraint while at the same time letting LA Knight know, make no mistake about it, I can and I will mess you up and mess you up good, permission or no permission, right? And it was kind of one of those type of deals where where Jacob just pretty much took himself out of the situation before he was going to do something that maybe he was seriously gonna have to regret and everything. But yo, going back to Jay and Solo, what a great little exchange that the two of them had. I thought that Solo got the better of the encounter and everything, as I had jotted some stuff down, and one of the things that Solo had said to him was Solo's like, "Hey, I find it funny that you want to talk about falling in line," because he says, "Uso, I think you fell in line. Looks like you fell off really, really bad. The reality is that Jay was a world champion who won the Royal Rumble, beat Gunther at WrestleMania." And like, okay, now those days are gone. And like, Oos, you ain't done nothing since. So I mean, no lies being detected right here, so far, right? No lies being detected so far. So I was loving how all of that had came about. Uso, meanwhile, Jay, he comes right back and says, yo, what the hell is wrong with you? You owe all your success right now to this family, because you wouldn't be in this company without the family. Your family's eating really, really good right now. They're being taken care of really well. Who's to thank for all of that, right? So pretty much this was Jey Uso coming back at Solo saying, "Yo, you are pretty much biting the hand that's feeding you right now, and your ass needs to be humbled." So I like what Jay pretty much was giving him that warning shot too. Solo just naturally ducking as he's with the crowd, and he's like, "Yo, are you guys okay? Nobody got hit there, did they?" And you hear some of the people in the crowd, "No, no, no, we're good, we're good." I love how Solo just rebounded nicely from that, for what it was worth. The personality, even doing the whole little finger point pew pew thing, the personality for Solo is just really continuing to shine through, man. I'm loving it. The growth of it's just expanding more and more and more. Really, really loving it. So from there, we had our number one contenders first round match, Penta taking on Laredo Kid. Penta picking up the win in that first round. Nice, good opener. Nice start too for our luchador contender tournament that we got going on. I saw when they had revealed the brackets for this, I was over the moon and back when they showed the brackets, because I was like, one, the graphics that they use for this tournament featuring Roman Reigns, it's really badass. I really love it. Matter of fact, I should have grabbed the damn template for it so I could show it to you guys during the show if you have not had a chance to look at it. But I would imagine if you go to the WWE's website, you could definitely see the bracket that way. And of course, when there's a new updated bracket version, I'll definitely show it on the show here next week and everything. But Mexican Destroyer from Penta picking up the W a little bit after the 10-minute mark right here. Not surprised that the two of these guys had the type of match that they did, because they're absolutely two of the best. Not to mention they've got years of experience, so definitely pretty damn good. Penta advancing, honestly, coolest, smartest way to go, hands down, no question. He's just continued to be scorching white hot and everything, so you got to go with that steady hand. I think him beating Laredo Kid, yeah, that's definitely the kind of start that you want to have in this first round tournament and everything. I'm definitely going with Penta in the finals for sure. As far as who I think he's going to end up facing in the finals, it's still a little too early for me to say, but I'm definitely picturing Penta in the finals there. From there, we had the Vision. The Vision were being interviewed by Byron Saxton backstage, and it was pretty hilarious because we still were continuing to see my man, Big Braun Breaker, in just like this Jack Nicholson from The Shining, just kicking back, staring out the window kind of gaze is really, really fucking hilarious what was going on with Byron and Breaker. As Breaker is just the whole time. I mean, he's not there. It's obvious where his mind is. His mind is still on Obafemi as Byron is talking to the rest of the members of the Vision. Pretty much a little bit of trash talking from Austin Theory leading up to his match he was having tonight against Akira Tozawa. Afterwards, they rolled out with the exception of Breaker, Saxon wanting to know if Braun had something maybe he wanted to say. To which Breaker goes, "Do you think Obafemi is the future of this company?" And Byron's like, and keep in mind, Breaker asked this question of Byron after the first question Breaker asked, which was, "Do you like Obafemi?" And Saxon actually, he wasn't with authority. Keep in mind, it wasn't with authority, but it was, yeah, I actually like Obafemi, and I just was like, oh, this is so wrong. Byron, start running, dude. Like, seriously, start running. But then when Breaker followed up with that question, poor Saxton. That just was raw, man. Like, Saxton should have just hauled ass after that. Like, this interview's over. Thank you for your time. I just would have hauled ass after that. I'm trying to think. By the way, speaking of Breaker, I guess we could continue to kind of ride with that for what it's worth. I mean, we might go just a little bit out of place here, but as long as it's a nice little easy transition setup and all that, like I'm down with that. So staying with Braun Breaker and crew, Braun Breaker continuing to have that 1,000-mile-yard stare at ringside while Austin Theory was having his match against Akira Tozawa. No Otis on this week's show. They're basically selling the injury that he sustained from the Vision beatdown from last week and all that, right? So this was Akira pretty much handling things on his own and everything. You know, I don't want to say squash match, but like pretty much that's like really what we had here on our hands. Post match, we had the Vision continue to beat the holy crap out of Tozawa. Breaker, something finally woke up in him where it looked as though he was about to get physical and deliver a devastating spear on Tozawa when all of a sudden we hear the music of Obafemi. Oba comes on out. Rest of the crew from Division, they cleared that ring like fucking roaches. I mean, they scattered like a motherfucker. Braun Breaker, though, standing there, he was embracing this, right? It was like he was looking at the eye of the storm. He was ready for it. And so he was welcoming Oba to come into the ring. Oba comes in there, and it looks like these two big behemoths are getting ready to throw it down when all of a sudden Adam Pearce, whole bunch of WWE officials, they come in there, they break these two guys up, they separate them. So we didn't see them get physical with one another. Honestly, I'm okay with the way this played out. I love the way that this had played out. I'm continuing to eat this up. Yeah, like I had said last week, yo, WWE, take my money, please, and the rest of the fans, take our money. Like this is it. Like we want to see this match, for what it's worth, go down. Later on, we saw Braun Breaker cross paths with Paul Heyman. And I gotta tell you, I kind of been liking seeing Paul Heyman just chilling past 2 weeks. He's watching the freaking TV monitor there or whatever, and he's just enjoying himself. And Breaker comes up to him this week and goes, "Did you see that?" And Heyman's like, "Yeah, I saw that." To which Breaker goes, "Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think Obafemi is the future for WWE?" And Paul Heyman says to him, "Hey, I respect the hell out of Obafemi. This man and the battles that he had with Brock Lesnar, any and everything that he said he was going to do, like up to this point in this man's career, he's done it. And for that, he has my respect." Braun Breaker's like, "Nah, man, that ain't what I asked you." It is funny we kind of had that little, "Hey, that's not what I asked you," because I'm almost kind of having flashbacks to when I was watching the series finale of Raising Canaan, which, by the way, shout out to those of you that had joined me Friday night going into early Saturday morning for that live recap show. I had a lot of fun doing that and everything, but I was just reminded of the little intimate scene there between Rock and Kanan, and Rock is like, "Do you love me?" And Kanan don't even say, "Psh, it's not even a question. Of course I love you." Like, what are you smoking? Like, he goes, "You're my mother," and it's like, that's not what she asked you, dude. So I was looking at this, having a nice little hearty chuckle. And I'm glad that Breaker called Heyman out on the bullshit, saying, "That's not what I asked you." To which Paul Heyman brilliantly slithers his way out of this by telling Breaker, "If you want to have my respect, then you need to take care of your business with Obafemi and change that narrative." So Braun Breaker kind of nodding his head a little bit. "Okay, all right, okay, whatever, okay, all right," and walking away and everything. I just love the fact that even though Paul Heyman walked away from the vision, right? Because they basically acquired Maxine Dupree and all this. I just love the fact that Breaker is still kind of like, "Well, fuck, that's them. That's not me." Like, I'm still looking at this dude, and you know, Breaker's got that hindsight, right? He's like, "No, I know what this Paul Heyman dude is capable of," and it's like, what the fuck, right? So I love that Breaker is still kind of shadowing Paul Heyman, and pretty much Heyman to a certain degree is shadowing him as well. So I like that Breaker is still trying to get that stamp of approval. He's seeking that stamp of approval, that validation from Paul Heyman and everything. I'm really, really feeling that. Isn't it so interesting though? Because like when when you look at the broad breaker that we had down there at NXT, and how he was just destroying mofos left and right and everything. And yeah, eventually we saw him, do the tag team with Baron Corbin and all that. That was a pretty good tag team for what it was worth. It's just so interesting that now we have this being a case where Braun Breaker, like, now he's seeking validation in like the weirdest places. Why not just, yo, do what the fuck you been doing? Do what got you to the dance at NXT. Continue to have that same formula work in your favor on the main roster and everything. And it's just interesting, how, I won't say misguided, but definitely a little bit misaligned is Braun Breaker here, right? Like, he needs that code. Yo, don't you know who the fuck you are? Like, remember who the hell you are here, man. Like, seriously. So kind of interesting how all of that played itself out. From there, Dirty Dominic Mysterio having a few words with the AAA general manager Rey Mysterio, as Ray was having a chat with Dragon Lee. Remember, Dragon Lee is involved in this luchador tournament. Dom feels that it is a travesty that he is not involved in this luchador tournament. And like, how do you like not have Dirty Dom part of this tournament? Like, it's definitely a conspiracy theory and everything, right? No. I said conspiracy. I did not say Siri. Shut up. This is ridiculous.
I'm not sure what you're.
I tell you, this is ridiculous. Hang on here, guys. Because otherwise, this damn thing, like, stop eavesdropping on my ass. My God, it's like it's spying or whatever, right? But no, it's literally one of those cases where it's like, okay, so we do this tournament, right? And look, I don't know if there's any truth to those reports that's floating around about Dominic Mysterio not really feeling creatively what's happening with him in WWE versus AAA. I don't know if there's any validity to that, but we all as fans have a set of eyeballs and we're looking at what's happening with Dom and the booking of him in WWE versus AAA. It really is night and day for those of us that have been fortunate enough to watch both promotions. And if you haven't been watching Dom and AAA, you're definitely missing out because like he's on a whole nother level, the level to which you've come to know and appreciate of what you were seeing of him in WWE until recently in 2026, the decline. Everything is just business as usual for him in AAA versus main roster of WWE. So, how do you not have the AAA Mega Champion involved in this tournament, which is what Dirty Dom was crying foul about to his father, uh, Rey Mysterio, and everything. Dragon Lee sticking up for Ray, pretty much saying this dude need to be taught some manners and all that. So this pretty much set up a match later on between these two guys. Nothing on the line here. Just a mano e mano matchup is what we had going down on this one. Dragon Lee picking up the win. Now I know some people are gonna feel a little bit divided by this for what it's worth because we're gonna have some people that's gonna go, well, look, on the one hand, Dragon Lee needed to pick up this win. Great way for him to build up some type of momentum going into his tournament match next week on Raw, which we'll talk about as I did jot down some of the stuff that's going to be happening for next week's Raw in Buffalo, New York, and all that. But I gotta say, I found this to be quite surprising. Right? Again, some people, hey, he built momentum. Me, I'm looking at this, I'm going, well, this is kind of a surprise because I was expecting for the AAA Mega Champion to pick up the win here and then pretty much go right back to Rey Mysterio and go, and fucking what? What you got to say now? Pops, right? What you got to say now? Ray? Huh? You saw what I did out there? I made your man Dragon Lee look like a goddamn chump. You starting to rethink whether or not you put that right person in the tournament? You ready to give that position to me already? What's up? And then that would have been a nice little cliffhanger for, yeah, what's Ray gonna do? Like because Dirty Dom could have easily, I think he should have won, and then like for storyline purposes, it should have been a case where you dangle that carrot for the viewer going into the following week, where Dirty Dom puts Ray in a position and say, now will you think about putting me in this tournament? Like, you you messed up, you did me wrong. You could do the right thing here after I just picked up this win against Dragon Lee. You could do the right thing here and put me in this tournament. And Ray could have either said, okay, give me a week to think about this, or Dirty Don could have been like, you got a week to make things right, Bendejo. Like, I mean, seriously, he could have easily gone in that direction. Um, so I don't know what's going on here. I really don't, because for me personally, I'm still not that sold on Dragon Lee. I mean, I know Dragon Lee has been a pet project for WWE's for a minute. I know they had him getting all types of different rubs from various WWE superstars, mainly AJ Styles and all that. But I'm kind of looking at this and Gunther. I still remember when Dragon Lee was going at it with Gunther for a couple of weeks after AJ had got retired by Gunther back at Saturday night's main event and all. So, but like for me, for me, Dragon Lee is still kind of. I mean, he's okay for me as a fan. He's okay, but like I'm not exactly jumping up and down, going, "I got to see that Dragon Lee." So I'm very curious to see where Dominic Mysterio goes from here, if at all. Is it maybe a case where we get a swerve and Dragon Lee is maybe going to have this match and maybe he's found laid out in the parking lot. He's favoring his knee and replacement gets put in and it ends up being Dirty Dom. Is that maybe something that's gonna go down? I'm kind of curious. We'll have to wait and see how next week plays out for that one. Elsewhere, Stephanie Vaquer, the lovely Stephanie Vaquer, she came out with the right side of her face tatted up. She put the little makeup on and everything, but she was in street clothes. But I mean, man, street clothes, them street clothes look good on my girl, man. I was like, damn, them jeans, skin tight, skin tight. Look that song up. I love that song. Skin tight. It's an old school R&B funk fusion song from back in the day. Stephanie Vaquer out there. Promo was pretty much brief, thanking the crowd for their love and support of her over these past couple of months while she was out injured and everything. Becky Lynch comes on now. So these two girls are literally picking up right where they left off from last week and everything. And Becky Lynch tells her, hey, yeah, I've been checking you out. I gotta say, you know, love what's going on with you, what you're about. You got some mystery that's to you, which kind of makes you an enigma and all that. I'm kind of digging that. But one thing that's been kind of bothering me a little bit, and whether you want to admit this or not, you've been injured quite a few times, which really makes me wonder. And I'm paraphrasing here, but she's like, it really makes me wonder if you can truly handle the load here. The responsibilities and all that comes as being a champion, because what I can't figure out with you, Stephanie, is if you're a badass that rushes too soon to get back in the ring because you're all about that fight, or if your body is giving up so your mind doesn't have to, right? I mean, it was really, really good points that Becky Lynch was bringing up here and everything. And you're like, Vakir comes right back. Like, how do you come back from that? Like, if you're Stephanie Vakir, how do you come back from that? And I thought they gave Stephanie the weakest fucking comeback line. She basically goes, "The title deserves," or she goes, "The title is mine," right? And basically, she's like, "If you get in my way, I'll show you what La Familia is all about." I mean, that basically was her comeback line. Meanwhile, Becky Lynch, I mean, she just looked like a million fucking bucks out there on the microphone as she's telling Stephanie Vaquer, the title doesn't need any more bad luck. That women's championship. Becky's like, that championship doesn't need any more bad luck. That championship deserves me. And it's like, and this is how you have Stephanie Vaquer, like, this is her comeback to all of those points that Becky Lynch had said, you get in my way. I'll show you what La Premia is all about. La Primera. Like, come on. I did not like that whatsoever. I also thought that Stephanie looked a little bit weak when my honest opinion for this segment, I thought this segment had Stephanie Vaquer talking just a little bit too long, which hurt her aura a little bit for me. Not a fan of that whatsoever. If they would have trimmed her talking to the crowd, by herself before Becky Lynch came out, if they could have trimmed it a little bit by, I would say, 2 minutes tops, 2 minutes tops, that would have sufficed. Now, if you wanted for Stephanie to get out there, hey, I just want to thank you, WWE fans, because you guys have been so awesome to me with your kind, get well wishes and speedy recovery and all that, and it really meant a lot to me. It fueled me, it motivated me even more to get back in front of you all because I miss performing for you all. I miss being y'all's women's champion. Boom, cue the music of Becky Lynch, have her come out. We basically had Stephanie out there kind of rambling on, and the longer that she talked, it unfortunately it weakened her as an overall character. My personal opinion on that. So Stephanie Vaquer set her little line, rolls out of the ring, heads up to the ramp area. Becky Lynch just standing there in the ring, not in her head. Next thing you know, she gets attacked from behind by Liv Morgan. Liv tries setting her up for the Oblivion, but Becky is pretty much able to counter that. By the time Vaquer gets into the ring, she was ready to clothesline the hell out of Liv Morgan. Liv gets out of the way. Stephanie almost hits Becky, but stops herself as Becky and Steph, they're looking at each other. Then they're looking back over to Liv, how all that had played out. So, wonder what are we gonna do here with this whole situation? Is this about to become maybe a triple threat match, or is Becky and the Kier maybe going to do a one-on-one and number one contender? We maybe going to kind of go in that direction. Kind of can't help but wonder about that one. But besides the shakiness there for the Stephanie Vaquer promo, everything else with that segment laid out pretty good. I love the fact that Liv now kind of has her hands full here, pretty much with two girls, that's coming after her and that championship and all of that. So love that we got this little mix up in there and everything, and seeing Morgan as wanted man, that women's championship. Here's what's going on, right? I love how we got all that going on. By the way, I was talking about that Dirty Dom Dragon Lee match and everything for what it was worth. Now I will say, again, Dragon Lee, picking up the win there and everything, but let's not forget, after that match was over, for the second week in a row, Big Cass made his presence felt. And here he is again attacking somebody after they got done having a match. Right. So this is the MO here with Big Cass. Big Cass laying waste with just great ease to Dragon Lee. I loved when Javon Evans came out there. He was trying to extract a little bit of revenge here. Got in some really good offense for what it was worth. Ultimately had his ass handed to him, laid out yet again. So I don't know, man. It kind of seems like eventually Big Cat's gonna piss off all the small folks, that there's gonna be some type of a mega handicap match or whatever, or maybe it's gonna be him versus a lumberjack of all the people he's beaten the shit out of the past couple of weeks. And randomly one person can go in there, right, face him, and then maybe roll out the ring, let the next person get in there. It could essentially go down like that. You never know. It could essentially go down like that. Elsewhere, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez teamed up to take on the team of Soul Ruca. Soul having a mystery partner. Who's going to be that mystery partner? The Shadow knows. Nah, her mystery partner was none other than Io Sky. So they're trying to have Soul Ruca get a nice little rub here from Io Sky and everything. The team of who won that one? It was Soul Ruca and Io Sky. Yeah, it's coming back to me now because I remember they were celebrating backstage afterwards, and they ran into Lyra Valkyria. More on that in a hot second. really started popping towards the end. I gotta say, this match for what it was worth. Uh, Love Perez getting caught up there with that soul snatcher. Uh, it's so many times it's like, okay, is that soul snatcher going to connect this week? Or because we've seen some shakiness there by Soul, but it seems like Soul, is kind of finding her footing here and all that. Now, what I hope is going to happen here going forward, I hope this now definitively puts that stamp mark on Soul and her involvement with the Judgment Day, and that she really is kind of able to move on from this. Meanwhile, you're looking at EO Sky, you're kind of not really sure what's going to be next for her, or if Soul Ruka is just going to continue to be her dance tag partner and everything, or is EO going to maybe try to throw her hat into the it feels like EO might just throw her hat in the Women's Intercontinental Championship because EO and Soul, they weren't able to celebrate the victory over Perez and Rodriguez that long. They ran into Lyra Valkyria, and Lyra pretty much gave Soul a warning shot, basically saying, yo, stay away from the championship that I won and made popular. Otherwise we're gonna have some problems. It was so funny too, because at this point, as I was watching this segment, my girl came in from work, and so she's telling me how her day had went and everything. And she's watching Lyra, and she just has like this weird, the same look that she had on her face is the same look that Eel Sky had on her face. And I'm trying to explain briefly to my wife, like, hey, Lyra looks like this because XYZ. And she just continued to have this baffling look on her face. And I said, I know, she looks like she's a former meth head or going through some serious withdrawal or whatever, right? And my girl's nodding her head, and I'm just like, I know. I said, but it's kind of growing, you know. She's like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, okay. Um, just it's like some of this shit that's on the TV is like, try explaining it to the person you love. Like it with a straight face, mind you. Like it's really, really hard to fucking do that. It really, really is. Rey Mysterio ended up having a brief exchange with Chad Gable. Chad loves what's going on with this luchador tournament, facing Roman Reigns and all that. And he wishes that he could somehow get involved in it. And then he thinks about the next best thing, which is he's currently the Intercontinental Champion. And there's nothing that would do his soul some good. Matter of fact, the honor, the privilege, than defending that Intercontinental Championship against Rey Mysterio. Ray says he's down for the idea. They basically are going to talk to Adam Pierce, see if Pierce is going to be on board for that. So I think that's something that we're going to be able to look forward to. I believe at the AAA show is where that's going to be going down, as opposed to the Raw in Mexico City. We'll have to see what the official announcement is going to be for next week and everything. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Did we talk about Solo versus Jey Uso? I don't think we really talked about that match. We just kind of set it up and everything. Jey Uso picking up the win. Final moments of this matchup here. We got to rewind it back. There was the running Umaga attack in the corner, gets a near fall, followed by a Samoan drop that gets countered into a sleeper. That gets broken up. Spin wheel kick breaks up Uso's pin attempt. Jimmy Uso then comes out setting up a distraction. And there was a spear by Jey Uso to Solo, which got him a 2. Sokoa fights back, tries going after Jimmy, and this pretty much allowed Jay to hit another spear, followed up with the Superfly Splash that got Jey Uso the victory. And on top of that, Solo Sokoa now is going to be heading back to the bloodline. So, kind of interesting here because this match, especially with the way it was set up to first open up Monday Night Raw, they put the right people at play, and you kind of felt very excited. And at the same time, this is like really a big deal of a match that's going on here. Like, I really, really need to be invested in this. I got to see how all this is going to play out and everything. And this really should have been a big deal because Solo Sokoa, wow, the guy is finally starting to find himself. He's finding his character. He's finding uh, greener grass on the other side as a solo act, thus solo, right, and everything. But at the same time, by the time you get to this main event match, it just felt a little bit flat, just a little bit flat, and everything. But at the same time, you're now going, wow, so Solo now has to join the bloodline. Wow. Okay. So this could be very, very interesting here because, I mean, yeah, you can say, hey, it's business as usual for the bloodline. But now, if you're kind of keeping track here was Roman Reigns, and his original bloodline was the Usos. I'm gonna put Sami Zayn in there, right? I don't care. Honorary Uso. No, Sami Zayn was in there, right? And then, eventually Solo Sokoa started doing his thing with his own bloodline where he had Jimmy and Jay for a little bit. And then we saw the different incarnations that had involved Solo, right? And now we're getting like what is this for Roman Reigns now? This is now going to be a Bloodline 3.0 because I'm kind of losing track. It feels like it's a 3.0 version now, right? Because 2.0 was just him and the Usos, right? No Heyman, no Sammy, just him and the Usos. That was your Bloodline 2.0. Now some could even make the argument, no, that was still version 1.0. What we are now getting is version 2.0, right? It really depends on who you ask, but like one thing that we all can definitely be in agreement of, we're getting a bloodline here where we got the Usos, Jacob Fatu, Solo Sokoa. And you just can't help but wonder, like, okay, so when does the mutiny come into play here? Right? When does it come into play? Because usually when the king eventually, and all kings do take their rightful fall, and it's usually because there is betrayal from within the house. Okay. So you're just thinking about everything, and you're like, okay, so man, you got Solo and you got fucking Jacob. How long before the two of them scheme and cook up shit and pretty much set up Roman Reigns for the ultimate downfall? You just can't help but wonder that, like personally. Um, Kind of a disappointing ending, I gotta say, because like I really wasn't starting to enjoy Solo doing his own thing. Crowd definitely in his favor and all that. And so now we pretty much are gonna see him be absorbed. And I just can't help but wonder, okay, so how much of that is potentially gonna get stifled as a result of him falling in the ranks of the bloodline? Jacob Fatu, to a certain degree, he got stifled a little bit. Still that dog, but he got stifled a little bit. So it's kind of one of those. All right, so is that what's potentially going to be in store here for Solo? We'll have to wait until next week to really see how it plays out. One thing is for certain in regards to next week's WWE Raw that's going to be coming to us from Buffalo, New York. We got Ray Phoenix taking on El Fiscal. for your luchador tournament as it continues. And then Dragon Lee will be taking on Dr. Wagner Jr. and Roman Reigns will be returning. So Roman gonna be sitting on that throne, and he is going to be I I hear you have presence. You know, he that should be very very interesting between he and Solo. And then what type of role is LA Knight going to have in that whole mess? Because you know LA Knight's going to be not that far away. So is Roman going to sick Jacob on Knight, or is it going to be a case where Solo is given the ultimate? No, 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 no. We need to see where Solo's loyalty is. You know, we see him circling around LA Knight the past couple weeks. Okay, now you really got to earn your fucking stripes. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But as far as this week's show goes, some good stuff was definitely on there, which, honestly, a good follow up from last week's Monday Night Raw, which kind of felt like, for me, it felt like it was definitely one of the better shows I've seen of 2026 of WWE Raw this calendar year. As I had said to you guys here on the show last week, felt like the all new, the all different, uh, the better WWE Raw. It just everything was just clicking on all cylinders last week. So good stuff. Good stuff from last week. Next week it really feels like they're upping the ante a little bit. So I can't wait to see how that show is going to play out and everything. Let's see how you guys are doing here. That's WWE Raw. I think we did pretty good talking about that. Let's look at the polling results, see what we're able to see so far and everything. And as I'm loading that up, once again, I want to take this time out. Holy shit, are you kidding me? Wow, guys, we got a three-way tie right now. Looking at the polling results, early results coming in, and we got a three-way tie right now. 33%. Some of you y'all are all over the place on this one. Some of you are giving the show a thumbs down. Some of you are staying in the middle, and some of you are giving it a thumbs up. It's a three-way tie right now. That's what I'm looking at. Don't like that? What you're hearing? Hop on over to youtube.com/the RCWR show. Make sure you're casting your vote. Appreciate everybody that votes as always. Yeah. Once again, appreciate you guys that had hung out with me late Friday night, going in the early Saturday morning as I had did Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, the series finale. A beloved show that I've enjoyed for the past 5 years. Never missed an episode. I always watched the episode soon as it would drop Friday nights, midnight. And it would it would irritate my woman sometimes because she'd be like, I'm trying to watch that with you. I said, I know. I said, but as much as I hang out on social media, like I'm gonna come across spoilers, right? So I tell her, like, I have to watch because otherwise, like, it's gonna be hard for me to lay off the social media for a bit. She's like, I get it, I get it. And last Friday, I watched the series finale by myself. I tried waking her up because she was like, "Wake me up and I'll watch it with you." Tried waking her up. She was like, I'm too tired, baby." I'm like, "Okay, it's all right, honey." It's like, I'll keep sleeping. I'll watch it, and everything. And luckily I had the stream set up like hours beforehand and everything. And it was such a cool hangout, man. Like everybody was just so encouraging. It was a real cool, chilled back environment. People were letting me know like if I have forgot like little certain things. But mostly it was just, no, 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 you remember everything, right? And they were adding to the discussion and everything. And then even the comments that were coming in after the stream was over, people were just, so kind. It was nice. It was really, really nice. As I had said, to myself, I said, wow, um, everybody was just, well, what was really, really blown away was just the fact that here I never really talked about Raising Canaan enough. And yet the one time I pop up and I'm talking about the series finale, everybody just welcomed me in. It was like, okay, Lee's a fan. Okay, yeah, we're fans too. Let's talk and everything. And everybody was encouraging me. They were like, yeah, hopefully, you will actually do more reviews. You will cover origins and legacy, and I will. I will. I mean, we know the shows are going to be premiering on a Friday night, so it is usually very easy for me on a Friday night to cover those shows. So I will definitely cover those shows. But yeah, it was really cool, man. I know a lot of you guys are still reeling from that finale too. It was just, I can tell you this, when I finally did sit down and I had my girl watch it, she just was beside herself. She was like, I kind of expected that, but still. She was like, but still. I said, I know, right? I was like, and then to hear the interview that Patina Miller had gave. I read the transcript. The fact that that emotional scene that she had with Makai Curtis as Kanan, the fact that because you really felt the weight of, it felt like it was on a different level. And if you guys recall, when I was talking about it on the post show, I said, yo, she's tapping into a place of, personal experience. And I actually went in a direction of, well, she just became a mother not that long ago. I had no clue that this woman had lost her brother. And like, I guess she buried her brother the day before filming that scene with Makai where they're on the streets. And I'm just like, holy shit. So she really was tapping into a place there and was taking it to another level. And it just made me take a step back and just appreciate her as an actor and just wow, taking what's happening in your personal life and I won't say using it as your advantage, but tapping into that source that you needed to really deliver an emotional and powerful scene, as essentially this was like the last time that Bettina's character Rock was ever going to interact with Makai's Kanan character. So great shit. Of course, the whole series, if you've never watched it before, it's now available for you to check out from beginning to end on Stars. And then I think 50 Cent just announced that all the shows I think are going to be hitting Netflix. I don't know if it's like already on Netflix. I don't know if it's an international deal, but like he did make that announcement like last week and everything. So yeah. Matter of fact, now that I think about it, he's got a new show. I think it's called Fightland. I gotta see what that's about. I gotta see what that's about. Sounds promising. So that's that. Let's continue on here with the show. We got loads more great stuff that we're going to be able to talk about here on the show and everything. So from there, where we can go next, I definitely want to more in depth now offer thoughts, prayers, condolences to the family, friends, colleagues, and fans all around the world. Dory Funk Jr. He passed away at the age of 85 on Tuesday, August 4th. Now, if you guys know, we usually do our shows on Monday nights going into early Tuesday morning. Like usually our cutoff time is right at about midnight. We try to stay clear of 12:30 if we can, because I don't want to be doing like a 2 hour plus show or whatnot. Dory Funk Jr., of course, the second longest reigning NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He held that championship for about 4 years, about 4.5 years. As far as like who holds the record with that championship, it's actually Luthez. Luthez held that bad boy for a little bit over 7 years. Um, nice little fun trivia to give you guys. And if you want another fun little trivia thing to remember for Dory Funk Jr., remember this. Terry and Dory Funk are the only two brothers in NWA history to have held that NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Now, some of you guys may be saying, "Damn, Lee, Dory Funk Jr. What the fuck? How did he die?" Basically, he died surrounded by family and friends. He died at his home. He pretty much was in hospice care. He was in living in Florida, but he died at his home. He was in hospice care. So, and as I've said to you guys, especially to our younger listeners out there, when you are in hospice, like that is pretty much it. There is no, yeah, somehow by miracle, like, no, when you go to hospice, that is, you've put your affairs in order. You are ready to meet your maker and all of that. Of course, Dory Funk had fought in his father's Amarillo Western States sports promotion back in the day. I mean, he faced the likes of Harley Race, Iron Mike DiBiase, Wild Bill Curry. You think about his feuds in All Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, you speak to any Dory Funk Jr. fan, and I'm definitely a Dory Funk Jr. fan. I mean, for God's sake, I'm a huge Terry Funk fan, so it's a no brainer. You know, I've never come across a wrestling fan that's like, well, I like Terry Funk, but I don't like Dory, or I like Dory, but I don't like. I've never come across a fan that's like that. It's either you know about the Funks or you don't. And if you don't know about the Funks, by the time you check out some stuff from the Funks, you're like, fuck, I'm a fan of the Funks, right? We want the funk, gotta have that funk. One of those type of deals. But like the big bulk of Dory Funk Jr.'s career, honestly, All Japan Pro Wrestling. Whether you want to look at the first rodeo that he had with the promotion from 73 to about 87, or you look at his second stint from 1990 to 96. I mean, that really was like, I is it safe to say 90%? Would you guys say that know your old school wrestling and all that, and you know about the Funks? Would you say 90% of his career was All Japan Pro Wrestling? Like, I think that's a really fair number. But he feuded with the likes of the Destroyer, Giant Baba, Abdullah the Butcher, the Sheik, Harley Race. Um, I know Terry Funk and him, they worked frequently as a tag team. They had many matches against Abdullah the Butcher and the Sheik, also Giant Baba and Jumbo Tersuda. So yeah, I mean many times. And then there was his brief, and I do mean brief. It was a quick cup of coffee, brief run in WWE slash F. It was back in the late 80s. It was about late 85, 86. Name changed and everything. The guy basically was wrestling under the name Haas. I wasn't a fan of that whatsoever. He did team with his brother Terry. They actually performed at WrestleMania 2. Actually performed at WrestleMania 2. They defeated the Junkyard Dog and Santino, not Santino, Tito Santana. Pretty good match. But then if you guys recall, you know your wrestling history, Terry shortly left WWF after that, but Dory went in there and he did a couple of tags here and there, but just yeah. And then of course, fast forward a little bit into the 90s, he was working for Eastern Championship Wrestling right before he transitioned into ECW, where he and his brother Terry, they faced a couple of times Public Enemy. And I love fucking Public Enemy, one of my favorite tag teams, especially from the ECW days. Dory even went up against the franchise Shane Douglas for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. All the stuff that I'm talking about so far, like you could easily pull this up on YouTube when you guys get a chance and everything. I know when I had first found out about the news on the passing of Dory Funk, one of the first things I did, I just went online and I just started looking up some of his old school matches. I loved his hard hitting style, and also at the same time, like if dude needed to go technical on the wrestling, like he could do it. He made it look so goddamn effortless too, man. He really really did. Surprisingly, and this may shock the hell out of a lot of you guys, but in the later years, like believe it or not, I just told you like this guy died at the age of 85. Believe it or not, rewinding back to 2020, this dude was still wrestling. I bullshit you not. This dude was still wrestling. Matter of fact, in 2020, he teamed with the Steiner brothers. And they had faced the team of Brian Blair, Jake Logan, and Shang Chung. And then remember, like Dory Funk, quite a few times, he was like, I'm retiring. I think one of the first retirements to happen was in like 2017. There was like a whole fucking big deal out of it around that time period. But then, like a few months later, he pulled a Ric Flair. I'm never gonna retire. Woo! We got some Ric Flair stories that we can get into here on the show in a little bit. But I remember that. Yeah, after a couple of months, Dory like unretired and he just kept wrestling here and there on the independents and all of that. But yeah, he did that match with the Steiner brothers back in 2020. And then the very last match that he did, the very last match, this is going to shock the hell out of you guys. But I remember being on this show talking about it and going, what the fuck? And just as much as I am a fan of Dory and Terry, I'm just like, come on, man, wait, time out. Like seriously. 2024, summer of 2024. Right, not that long ago. At the time of this recording right now, because we're in 2026, right? 2024 was the final match that Dory Funk was involved in. It was a double hell current explosion death match. Just I'm trying to like blank. There's certain things as a wrestling fan, it's just like Ric Flair's last match. Like I tried to do my best to block that out, right? And Dory, like, this is not how I want to remember Dory. Some people are like, no, it was like, nah, I don't want to be seeing no 82 going on 83-year-old man. Like, you've given enough of your body, you've sacrificed enough of yourself and all that for the business. Like, just we good, brother. We good. Like, seriously, right? But this is what he wanted to do. This is how he went out. When it was all said and done, he literally went out with a goddamn bang and everything. So yeah, definitely this was a guy when it's all said and done. This was truly somebody who definitely lived life to the fullest, right? Live Moss, right? Good shit right there. So I think I'm gonna be kicking back for the rest of the week, and I'm gonna be continuing to look up Dory Funk matches and all that because that's just the type of wrestling fan I am. Sometimes I will look at stuff randomly just to be looking at stuff randomly, and then there's other times, especially when I find out somebody has passed, I will go, oh man, and I will go down that rabbit hole and I will, just binge watch on like vintage shit and all that, refresh my memory. It's amazing how like you go in and it's like, man, I haven't thought about this match in years, or man, like I think I only watched that once, and it's like, oh wait, I never did watch this match. Like, let me see how that had played out and everything. Like, I'm talking about the rabbit hole. WWE on their WCW channel. I don't know if you guys had peeped this out, but they released a never before seen Sting documentary from back in the mid 90s. It's about maybe 25 to 27 minutes. And I'm like, I didn't have time to watch it because like I saw it late in the evening as I was just putting the final touches on the show here for this week. And I was like, oh, what's this? And then when I clicked on it, try to get more information, I was like, oh, okay, nice. So that's the type of stuff I'm talking about, like as far as going down the rabbit hole and all that other stuff. But yeah, rest in peace, Dory Funk Jr. If you're a fan of the funk like I am, if you haven't done so already, you definitely owe it to yourself to kick on back and binge watch on some classic matches, man. Like seriously. So he passed away. There was one other person who passed away this week that I want to talk about. Let's stay with wrestling. I had talked about this earlier. Diana La Cazadora, whose real name is Alma Corina Gutierrez uh, Villarreal. She passed away in Mexico just a couple of days ago after she underwent a complex surgery. She died at the age of 48. This was kind of making headlines just a little bit, but I didn't really see that many people reacting to this and really, really sharing this and everything. So, you guys hear that, you're like, wait a minute, 48 years old, like Lee, that is exceptionally young. What the fuck? What happened? And it's really heartbreaking when you hear this because basically going back to July, she had been hospitalized because she had came down with a really bad lung infection. And, normally when you hear stuff like, oh, this person, they suffered a really bad lung infection, you're like, oh, well, surely there's some antibiotics that, they can take for that. You would like to believe that. But see, here's the thing. Here's what most people don't really realize is if you wait too long and you think that you can just do what you need to do by basically self-medicating and then you keep putting it off and you're like nah, I'm good, like really, like I'm just gonna keep, I'm young, I can figure this out, I just gotta drink cough syrup, I just gotta take some mucinex and and all that other stuff. Like, you got to listen to your body because like after a while it's kind of like, okay, you've tried it your way, whatever you're trying, it's really not doing the trick. So and I mean, her and her family did everything right. They pretty much went to the hospital and this lung infection, it pretty much, it was so severe apparently that she ended up getting surgery and everything for this. And it was a couple of days after she was admitted to the hospital. Now, her daughter was the one that had broke the news on social media, confirming that her mother had passed away over the weekend. Over the weekend, the daughter had did that, and Diana's journey into the world of professional wrestling, it's an interesting one because her journey was always athletic, right? And I got to show you guys how she looked, by the way. She was cute. I mean, even right on up till the end, she was cute. And you could tell that, she cared a great deal about fitness because I don't want you guys thinking, oh, this was probably some, heavy set woman or whatever. No, no, not the case at all. For my audio only listeners, I apologize. You guys aren't able to see a picture right now that we have on the screen of Diana. But if you're interested, you can, check out the webcast stream and look at it at the 1 hour 18, actually 1 hour 19 minute mark. You know, it's a cutie. I mean, nice small frame. Um, and this was somebody, oh, sorry about that. This was somebody who, where is my, here it is right here. Hey, we're back. Yeah, this was somebody who definitely had an athletic background going as far back to her teenage years. She initially had pursued Olympic gymnastics before she ultimately made the transition into going into professional wrestling and everything. and she made her wrestling debut back in 1997. 1997. She was competing for the Lucha Libre uh, Femnel promotion before moving eventually to CMLL and everything. And her biggest accomplishments included capturing the Monterrey Women's Championship, the LLF Junior Championship, and the LLF Tag Team Championship, which she defended alongside a name that I have brought up on this show many, many times over the years, Nikki Rocks. Nikki Rocks was a huge, huge fan, still am, of this girl's work. Um, Roxy, she is somebody that when I had first joined Twitter, God, that would have been going back to 2010, maybe 2011. Roxy was one of the first people that befriended me, and we always were talking with each other. We'd be in each other's DMs all the time, and I mean, she was so fucking cool, so chill. I didn't mark out with her or anything like that. I think the way it just naturally happened for me, I saw her online, and I said, "Oh, hey, cool," and I ended up just giving her a follow, and then she ended up following me back, and then like at the time she was posting. Now I don't think she retired just yet. I don't think that retirement had came not for a couple of more years. But I could remember, sliding into her DMs and telling her, hey, big fan of your work and all that. And I just treated her like a regular normal person. She responded back, and we were talking for a little bit there. So I was talking to her long before she eventually married her now husband of like many, many years. This is way before her kids even came into the picture, and all of that. You probably, the name may not sound familiar to you guys, but if you type in a search TNA Roxy and spell it Roxxi, you'll see who I'm talking about. She's also known as the Voodoo Queen and all that. But like on the independent, she was known as Nikki Rocks, and she hails from Boston, Massachusetts. This is one whose wrestling career, unfortunately, because I mean, she was at it since like 2002. That's pretty much when Roxy began her wrestling career. And I know Roxy also worked in Shimmer, but TNA, that's like she did a couple of years in there. She was with the Voodoo Kin Mafia, if you guys recall. But there was one match where pretty much her career was over. And I remember there was that period in TNA where she was known as the hardcore knockout. If you remember anything, especially if you were checking out the TNA promotion going back in the mid 2000s, hopefully I've given you enough information now where your memory's kind of jogging and you're like, yeah, I know who you're talking about now, Lee. But she was known as like the hardcore knockout. She was like the female version of Mick Foley, and you hear that term sometimes be thrown out, just be throwing it. But she really was the fucking hardcore. I mean, she was like the Cactus Jack back in the day. This sister was doing like the most craziest fucking shit, man. Like she was. But there was a match that she had. Was it against Raka Khan? I'm trying to think who it was against. I kind of feel like maybe it was against Raka Khan. I'm not really sure. So don't quote me on the name, but I remember going back around 2012, 2013. So again, me and her were already talking just like a year or two before she announced her retirement. But she had announced her retirement on social media, and it was because um, she basically wanted to focus on her fitness career, and her company. And she did have a retirement match, but her body, if I remember it right, and I think she's spoken about it since, like her body was just really banged up. and all of that. I didn't mean to go off on a little bit of a rant there and all that, but I was just trying to help you guys link back to who Diana's, like you guys should know that name, right? Roxy and all that. But Diana also had a very successful career working as a traffic reporter. She was a TV news reporter. She reported on accidents, traffic congestion, and all of that. So very, very heartbreaking. Very sad to hear that somebody, passed away that young at the age of 48 there. So definitely thoughts, prayers, condolences to her friends, family, colleagues, definitely fans as well. Uh, Wait, going into the world of sports, and since last we were on the air, Hall of Fame NBA coach, basketball player Dan Nelson. He passed away at the age of 86. And this one, I mean, we ain't lying when we say it usually comes in threes, are we? We're not lying when it comes to that. The five-time NBA champion as a player and three-time coach of the year passed away at the age of 86, according to his family. Nelson won 5 titles with the Boston Celtics from 1966 to 1976, and his number 19 jersey was retired by the team. And this dude had 1,000, get this, 1,335 coaching wins with teams such as the Bucks, Warriors, Knicks, and Mavericks. Known for pioneering Nelly ball with small lineups, pace, and three-pointers. He was inducted in the Hall of Fame 2012 and received the 2025 Chuck Daly Lifetime Achievement Award. There's going to be a celebration of his life set for this Thursday, August 13th, in Dallas. So very, very sad. Um, I loved him. I love it. See, by the time I started watching him, he already was retired and he was already coaching some of the teams that I had just mentioned. I pretty much was watching him almost like on the tail end there of his career and all that. But from what I remember, definitely a really damn good coach. From what I remember, definitely, I enjoyed checking him out for what it was worth and all. But yeah, interesting people that passed away this week. I'm sure some of you guys are probably like, this other person had passed, or hey, I remember this person, but like those were the main big ones that kind of stood out coming from the weekend to now. Lighten the mood up a little bit. Somebody that we definitely know will be passing eventually. Nature Boy, Ric Flair. That's the transition I'm working with. So if you don't like it, tough, hit the bricks. But no, seriously, I think that was a good transition. Ric Flair, he got fans talking over the weekend about the fact that he got back with his, at least the way it came off with the initial post that he put out there, that he somehow got back with his long time partner, Wendy Barlow. And that had drew some criticism because of what he basically posted online and everything. So initially, it looked like the WWE legend had announced some type of a reconciliation with Wendy, and he framed it as her inevitable return after their split in 2024. And he shared a picture of them. I don't know where they were at exactly. There was some type of an event surrounded by people in the background, and they looked extremely happy with one another. And he put out this quote that went along with the picture. And keep in mind, like every single word in his tweets, if you're not peeping this out, every single first letter of the new word is always capitalized. I'm just looking at that and I'm going, motherfucker, that shift key needs a break. That shift key is getting a lot of fucking work in there, man. But anyway, he says, I told you it was only a matter of time until you come running back. At least I know I am in good hands because you have always taken the best care of me out of anyone in the whole world. She finally figured out there is only one Ric Flair and one James Bond. So he's comparing himself to James Bond. Okay. I wonder who his James Bond is. His favorite James Bond is. I wonder if it's Sean Connery or if he's going Daniel Craig. I wonder. And currently, Ric Flair is available for any kind of action. Let's see if Wendy still has it. LFG. LFG, of course. Let's fucking go. So that's what he put out there. Some fans they kind of found this to be kind of hilarious. And then other people looked at this and they just were like, dude, you're really gonna put this out there? Like, what the fuck? This is kind of disrespectful to Wendy. Like, what the hell? So Ric Flair ended up, I guess he was seeing some of the stuff that was coming his way on social media, and he decided, okay, let me just, kind of shut this shit down. And once again, here's the nature boy. Wendy and I are not renewing a relationship. We are renewing a 34-year friendship. Friendship, relationship. I consider a friendship to be a relationship. It may not be a relationship in the sense of you're sleeping with them, but I consider a friendship to be a form of a relationship. So, okay, whatever. Anyway, we are renewing a 34-year friendship. She has her own residence and I have mine. She is coming to Tampa primarily to take care of her parents, who are both in their 80s and not in good health. Wendy will continue to do what she does best, travel the world and help people who are struggling in other countries. I'll resume what I do and love most, which is attending public events and signing autographs at meet and greets. Please don't turn something positive into something negative. If that's all you have to do, find something better to do. The one part I am sure of, which she reminds me whenever we speak, is that she will always be there for me if I get sick again. And I was sick for 2 years. Her whole family took care of me. Find someone else to hate on. Wendy and I are good. Okay, well, you know what? Look, to that I say, obviously this was the case, and we've seen this happen many times with the Nature Boy Ric Flair over the years. God, we could do like a whole hour just, but we're not. But we could do a whole hour just going down the rabbit hole of the stupid shit that Ric Flair has said over the years on social media and how he has basically walked it back, right? Because he's put his own foot up his ass with a lot of the shit. Anybody remember the bar incident that happened? What was it, last year or in 2024? Man, you want to talk about defamation, especially in the form of a lawsuit. If that restaurant out in Florida would have gone there, oh, they could have had Ric Flair for breakfast. Like, seriously. Do y'all remember that incident where Ric Flair had bad mouth the hell out of some restaurant because they basically uh they weren't going to give him any more alcohol or some shit like that, and he was saying so many bad things about them, and the owner of that establishment came out, if not that same day, like the very next day, and was like, no, 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 we kicked your ass out of the establishment because you were being an asshole to my crew, you're being an asshole to my staff, and we've got you on video at this establishment acting unrudely, trying to spark up a fight with people and all that, right? Because I remember Ric Flair tried to say something like somebody was watching him in the bathroom or some weird, stupid shit like that. And man, Ric Flair was just so adamant. But then, like, once that owner put the video footage out there and all that, and then Ric Flair tried to say something like, I'm gonna sue. And it's like, dumbass, you can't sue because you were a patron at this establishment that lets you know clear as day before you even walk into this place that that facility, that restaurant. that establishment is under some form of surveillance, right? So if you're gonna act like an asshole, you're pretty much doing it at your own risk, right? Yeah, I remember how he threatened to sue and all that, and then eventually he walked it all back and tried to issue a half-ass apology, but didn't really take self-accountability and all that. Yeah, this is another prime example, and I hate to sound like a broken record where Ric Flair is just putting too much personal information out there, right? I think dude just really needed it to just two things can be said that's true. He probably was feeling a particular way legit because Wendy is back in his life and he wanted to share it with the whole world. This would have been a great opportunity for him to keep it really simple and just say, I am so blessed that at this stage in my life, certain people who I thought would never re enter my life again somehow find themselves back into my life and I in theirs. Case in point, Wendy Barlow. We've had so many ups and downs. This woman has been with me during my darkest hours. She literally was there for me when I was on my deathbed. And I tell you, to continue to have this woman's friendship aura in my inner circle, like it means so much. Boy, I tell you guys, find yourself someone that is as cool as Wendy. Enjoy your weekend. If he would have left it just like that, I think most people would have been like, okay, cool. Amen. Yeah, because a good friend is really fucking hard to come by, especially the older that you get. Like, I'm in my 40s. I can't tell you how hard it is for me to break bread with new people. It's really, really hard. The people that I used to be friends with from junior high school coming up, like I'm no longer friends with them, and that wide circle of people that I was somehow connected to, everybody's under the impression that like the people that you befriend in junior high, high school, that they're going to end up being your friends for like your entire fucking life. You would only be so fortunate if you were to even be in that position where you'd be able to have a couple of people. But like most people, like that's not how it works. That's not how it works, sadly. So to grow older and your inner circle of friends, it's more, limited. I don't mind it being a very limited circle because they know how I am. I know how they are, right? And it's like, okay, you know, once you find your crew, you're like, okay, that's it, I'm good, right? You get yourself just a handful of people. It's like, okay, I'm good, right? And Ric Flair, what's always struck me about him, it just seems like those that are part of his circle and those that really mean well and they try to steer him in the right direction, he just always has come off to me as, well, fuck you. It's either my way or the highway. I mean, you look at how he did his longtime friend and radio partner before Conrad had stepped in and all that. You look how he handled that whole situation publicly on social media. I don't know what it is with some people, but some people they just have to somehow live. You got some people that live vicariously through other people, and then you have people like Ric Flair that lives vicariously through social media. They can't do without it and all that other shit. And too much free time on his head, especially since he's able to hit the fucking shift button. Can you just imagine that? They don't teach you that. I don't know how it is with you guys now, but like when I was growing up and I was taking computer classes, you know, some of my computer teachers would walk around with a ruler. And this may sound like corporal punishment to you guys, but this is just how some of them operated. if they saw that your hands were not in a certain position at the keyboard, and if they saw that like you were not like, okay, shift and A, if you're starting off a new sentence, or you're getting ready to mention somebody's name, and you got to make sure that that first name is capital, the first letter in that first name is capitalized, and you got to make sure that, right? Like if you were doing some shit and it was off, you'd get this ruler that would just wham. It wasn't like trying to break your hands. It was just wham. It's like, don't do that. Like, that's not how you do it. That's wrong. You got to do it. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I don't know who taught Ric Flair this whole shift every fucking letter, every other letter, like in the word. It's really, really weird. Like, why not just, I don't know who his people are, but just say to him, look, before you do all this shit, just post what you got to post, right? Get a template ready to go, set it up on your little Apple notepad or whatever. Get Chat GBT or Microsoft Copilot or whatever, Gemini, get it to clean it up for you, right? And if you just want people to know, hey, this is me that's posting this shit, then you can end that shit with just RF, right? Okay, we get it. That was Ric Flair. This dude always going the doing the hard, difficult shit. Anyway, so that's that one. Let's go elsewhere. I want to talk about this big story that's been running on here about AJ Styles' son, Avery. Um GCW dues debate and all that shit. I want to talk about that one. By the way, speedy recovery to Chelsea Green, as Chelsea Green had confirmed she has a broken orbital bone injury that she suffered on this past Friday SmackDown. Really hoping that for Chelsea, it's not going to be a situation where she's going to be out for a significant period of time, because that would just absolutely fucking suck. Um, Now, one thing that I can tell you that you guys will be, for those of you that's kind of curious, she is still being called the interim WWE Women's Champion. Very, very important too. I wish they would just go on ahead and look, depending on what's going on with Chelsea, right? But please, Chelsea, please, please, honey, speedy recovery, legit. Shout out to Buddy Matthews. He's officially cleared to compete after his ankle injury. I mean, that dude was sidelined with that for like over a year. So some good news coming from there. Rhea Ripley, as a matter of fact, she well, I'm thinking about Buddy. Rhea recently had appeared during I think it was a Twitch stream. I don't know why I was thinking Twitch stream. What I don't it shows where my mind is. Jesus Christ. A Twitch stream that she was on, and she's pushing crutches and all that. But she looks to be in really good spirits. Looks to be in really good spirits. So, speedy recovery to her. Also, let me look here. Jim Ross. Jim Ross has commented that his AEW contract is going to be expiring this month in August. He's not really sure if it's going to be renewed or not. That's going to be an interesting situation. What kind of position is Tony Khan going to take in regards to Jim Ross? Is he pretty much going to go, hey, look, sorry, but like, it's going to be interesting to see how Tony Khan handles the Jim Ross situation, because it's just become less and less and less with Jim Ross, that like, unless you figure out some type of a better, proper way to utilize Jim Ross, then it really, like, can he do some type of exclusive content for the AEW.com website? Can you maybe have him do some stuff like that? Or could you maybe have him possibly do a new podcast. Like, your guess is as good as mine, but that's for Tony Khan to figure out. I hope that they're able to work something out in a way where JR doesn't have to worry about hitting the road. He can just honestly solely focus on his recovery. But I don't know, y'all. I don't know. It's a very touch and go situation. I can tell you this. I can tell you this right now. If Tony Khan ends up not doing anything with JR, I promise you, WWE, especially now that they got that Club WWE shit going on and they're trying to figure out new content, I can promise you they're definitely going to yoink up JR and do something with him. I promise you they're going to do something with that. Also, WWE made the announcement that WWE Raw is going to be coming to Ireland for the first time ever at the Dublin's 3 Arena, January 25th, 2027. Finn Balor and Becky Lynch made the announcement. So that's really cool. Also, I gave you guys a heads up about this. I think it was last week or the week before, but remember when I was saying TNA Impact was supposed to be a really good match as Nick Nemeth, aka Dolph Ziggler, defends his TNA World Championship against Jeff Hardy. Well, there was definitely some confusion that was going on there, as that match was apparently taped some weeks back, but the way that TNA had kind of advertised it, they made it on their website too. They made it seem like we were going to see that match like 2 weeks ago. No. So we're going to be seeing that match play out on this week's TNA Impact. So make sure you mark that down. That should be a pretty good match to check out and everything. The rest of the card for this week's TNA Impact got the TNA Knockouts Television Title Tournament semifinal as Indy Hartwell takes on M by Elegance. And then we got Order 4 versus Rich Swann, BDE, and to be announced opponents. So we got all that's going on there. Okay, other than that, I think we can now dive. Let me just double check here. Yeah, that is everything. There's one other, but I'm gonna leave that out. I'm gonna save that one for the next show. Let's talk about this AJ Styles situation. Was paying very close attention to how all of this had played out on social media during the weekend, and I just was kicking back, nodding my head, just going, "What the flying fuck?" With all of this. Okay, so the way this pretty much, by the way, if you guys have been enjoying yourselves so far, if you haven't done so, do subscribe. Helps me out. And check out the show available wherever you get your podcasts as well. Helps out a great ton as well. All right, so let's get into this AJ Styles thing. All right. So on social media, heading into the weekend, coming out of the weekend, Natty Neidhart, who's actually a Twitter follower of mine and all that. I haven't slid into her DMs in a minute, but when I did, she was real cool, man, real fucking cool. She praised in an open social media post. She praised Avery, AJ Styles' son, his passion and willingness to lose a match against Marcus Mathers at the August 1st GCW Rude Awakening event, saying it showed he was paying his dues. Meanwhile, 44-year-old Eric Cannon, who has been on the wrestling scene since 2001, wrestled in Chikara, Dragon Gate, WSX, owns and operates First Wrestling in Minnesota, wrestled in WWE back in 2017, and he actually wrestled a couple of times in AEW between 2021 to 2022. He had accused Avery of dodging ring setup help, and this prompted Avery's dad, AJ Styles, to fire back that wrestlers get paid for matches, not crew duties, and called Cannon jealous. Of course, Lexus King and all that chimed in, right? So those are the bullet points. So Eric began this, by retweeting, by quoting the initial post, which was by Fightful, as their main headline was Natty Neihart, and she's giving the praise for Avery, and Eric quotes this and says the following: as someone who watched this kid skirt away from helping with a single thing at this very show, dot 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 dot, I just like to say LO fucking L exclamation point. AJ responded to this and said he was paid to wrestle at GCW, not help you put up and take down the ring. That sounds like your job. You just sound like a jealous douche. Eric, I have all of the respect in the world for you, AJ. I understand why you defend your son, and it's admirable. But the fact remains, he can stay AJ's kid, continue to skirt responsibility and paying dues, or he can earn the respect of his peers and stand on his own as Avery. AJ, you don't ask someone to have dinner at your house and have them do the dishes. He was asked to wrestle at GCW. Although grateful for the opportunity, a vet would have talked to him professionally or at least face to face. Okay, good point. Eric, a 20+ year vet and promoter, asked him to help with the chairs twice. Instead of helping, he hid in the locker room until everything was done. My 2 cents isn't going to affect his future, but with all due respect, you stating he doesn't need to help is only doing him a disservice. So then Lexus King got involved in this. Okay. Here's what Lexus had to say. Very unique take that he had right here, too. As someone who has walked in this kid's very shoes, being the son of a legendary high flyer and taking to the indies for the first time, all I can say is that it is a different path than most. I was 5 matches in, and promoters would fly me in, tell me to hang out at the hotel until call time. And when I'd get there, the ring would already be set up. To put it plainly, people treat you differently when you are one of us, and it's not his fault. There's a different type of baggage this boy carries, an expectation to live up to his father's greatness that most will never understand. I hadn't set up or tore down a single ring until I got to NXT, but yet I'm so glad I started because it taught me a lot about the work that goes into making the magic that is pro wrestling. I was treated like royalty by everyone in the business until I walked into NXT, and the leadership here humbled me and treated me like everyone else. It's up to the leadership on the indies to show him the way. He's putting his body on the line and drawing extra eyes for your show at a young age, and you want to blast him on the internet instead of talking to him in person. Well, guess what, Eric? Your tweet didn't sell any more tickets for the next show, but I bet Avery Styles being on the card will, because it's his birthright. And I know Eric Cannon had tried to then kind of put a post out there where you could kind of look at it as him going the victim route, as he says, "Oh, the only thing that's," I'm paraphrasing, but he basically was like, "The only thing that's like really, really bad about all of this is the AJ Styles fans," right? And he's talking about how insufferable, kind of stupid they are with some of the comments that they're making and all that. Later on, he posts a picture of a dark-haired Cody Rhodes sweeping, I guess, some glass that's in the ring or whatever. And there's like a championship belt around his waist, and he's basically trying to illustrate the point. Look, Cody Rhodes, he had no problem with it, and and all that other shit. Kind of interesting seeing the different reaction that's been coming about from everybody on this topic. Where do I stand on this? There's a lot to unpack here, right? But we don't need to be long-winded with this. Everybody is it was just wrong. Like Lexus King did phenomenal. I love his response to this. I loved his response to this. Like nothing wrong with that. Natty trying to give the young man praise, and like I got nothing wrong with what Natty had put out there. The way AJ and Eric handled this whole situation, let alone on social media, so fucking wrong. Just so fucking wrong. Um, from Eric's standpoint, okay, you may feel that way, you may have a legit gripe. If it bothered you that much, if you are the type of, I'm not going to speculate what type of person he is because I don't know Eric Cannon, right? But I would just like to believe that here's a guy that has a very successful YouTube channel where he's got like over 1 million plus subscribers. Apparently, I didn't know about this until I did further research on this guy, because like I honestly, no bullshit, I never heard of this guy before, right? So it was like, well, let me get myself up to speed and see what this guy is all about and everything. Okay, you got 1 million fucking subscribers. You definitely, you got your fair share. Yeah, you got your audience, right? I mean, that's good. So like that lets me know that whether he wants to admit it or not, he is a social media influencer. He can tell me, hey, I'm a pro wrestler first, but whether you like it or not, when you have that type of a following, you're a social media influencer. So as a result of that, you've got to be that much more harder on yourself when you are putting out things on social media, because you are going to have a following that is pretty much going to defend you and your position tooth and nail, because you definitely got yourself a very loyal and vocal fan base, right? So I would like to believe that for as long as he has been a YouTuber, for as long that he's been a wrestler, when it comes to establishing contacts and all of that, I would like to believe that, wow, if that really bothered him, how Avery handled that whole situation. Okay, hey, do me a favor, hook me up with AJ Styles' phone number if you can, right? I would like to imagine that he can somehow get in contact with the right people, and then maybe privately have a conversation with AJ Styles and say, "Hey, I'm really happy that Avery is coming along, and that's really good, man. But like, hey, I just gotta tell you, man to man, and I don't know if this guy has any kids of his own, but hey, look, I kind of noticed XYZ. Please make sure that I'm just asking you, in a day and age where a lot of the wrestlers that's coming into these promotions now, they're coming into the business and everything, all they want to do is fucking TikTok. They want to chase algorithm bullshit, and they just want their subscribers and all that. They just want to do their little TikToks, and they want to play their fucking video games. AJ, you're still kind of relatively young. Break this young man in, man. Really make sure that he's truly paying the dues, and part of that is you know whatever, right? But that's a private conversation. That's where I'm getting at. That's a private conversation, right? You pick up the phone and you figure out what you need to do to somehow get in touch with so and so, right? Because at the end of the day, this is what most people need to understand. We're talking about a young man in Avery Styles. He's not even 21. This is still a kid. He's only 19. He's only 19. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Having once been 19 years old, to have that kind of chatter and seeing my name out there for like all the wrong reasons and be it at that age, that leaves such an impressionable mark on the mind. That is how you have one go into a deep state of depression and like the whole 9 yards, right? And we see all these reports that's been put out there over the years on how, these teenagers are essentially being bullied. And now I'm not saying that's what's happened here with Avery, but this is where it really matters what we say online about certain people, especially, I have a golden rule, which is yo, when it comes to teenagers, it comes to kids, nah, man, that's where I got to draw the line. I know that there were a decent amount of people, for instance, that were making fun of Triple H and Stephanie's daughter when she was singing the national anthem, SummerSlam. What was it? Night two, right? And I mean, they were just mopping the floor with that girl. I didn't go that route. It could have been very easy for me to go that route, but like that's the thing you got to understand. These kids, I'm grouping them all together now. Kids and teenagers, they're all kids. They're going online, and they will see this. They will see this stuff that's being said about them, and it fucks with the head so bad that you don't know just how close somebody is to doing potential self-harm, right? You just don't know. So you really don't want to go in that direction. You really don't. So I'm very disappointed in Avery Cannon from not taking a step back and going, wait a minute. And this is something that I've said for years and years and years. Before I get ready to put this post out on social media, let me take a step back and let me think about this. Do I really want to be posting this? And if I even have to hesitate for a millisecond, I'm going to go, then I probably shouldn't be posting it. Should this really be broadcast on social media, or is this a case where I need to keep this in house? And this is a case right here where Eric should have had this be in house. If it bothered him that much, do whatever you got to do. Get that phone number for AJ, talk to the guy. And then whatever AJ decides he wants to do, that's his business. But now it's officially out of your hands. Okay. Avery is not part of the GCW's regular roster or anything like that. This kid was being brought in for a special attraction match. That's all it was, a special attraction match, right? He was probably paid a decent amount of money because of not just his name, but who his father is. And okay, special attraction. We've got one of his first couple of matches here. Like, yeah, man, this fucking rocks. We gonna be eating good off of this, right? He's a special attraction. You don't ask your special attractions to set up the chairs, set up the ring. You don't set up. No, 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 no. That's just me personally. We might diverge on this one, y'all. I'm being honest with y'all, and that's okay. That's okay. But for me personally, if I am a promoter and I am bringing you are my special talent, you are my special attraction. Whether it's your first match, whether it's your fifth match, whether you've been wrestling for a couple of weeks or you've been at it about 6 months, if I'm bringing you in as a special attraction, I am not going to turn around and be like, I need you to set up the chairs. That's not what I'm doing with you. Instead, what I'm going to be doing with you, I'm going to be utilizing the fuck out of my marketing skills. And I'm going to be like, yo, for this amount of money that I'm paying you, like, I really need you to be doing some interviews on some shows. I got it set up. These people are very reputable. They got connections to these wrestling websites. If you could maybe do like about, for the amount of money that I'm paying you, if you could do about 3 of these interviews, which I know will build up some hype, some anticipation for your upcoming debut match with my promotion, I'd appreciate it. Hey, if you can get on your social media feeds and if you could do like a couple of videos promoting this upcoming event, with you debuting for my promotion, I'd appreciate it. Like that, like that's it. Like that's about as far as it's gonna go. I'm not going to have you as a special attraction talent come in and set up. I'm not going to ask you to set up my chairs. I'm not going to ask you to build the ring. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. What's going to win me over is who trained you? Natty Neidhart. Oh, well, I know who Natty is. I know who that whole fucking family is. Okay, well, if she fucking took you under her wing, you must be doing something right because they don't let any old body come on in and pretty much train them at the dungeon. So the fact that you getting trained by Natty, you got your training by Natty, like, okay, all right, cool, right? That's good. And your daddy's AJ Styles. I have never heard up until now, I've never heard anything bad about AJ Styles. I've never heard AJ Styles involved in any controversy, no stupid shit. And now, right, and that still remains to be intact, but I got a bone to pick with AJ. Now, AJ's been doing the gaming Twitch thing, and he's been doing the podcast and all that stuff for a good little minute now. AJ should know better. AJ should know better. And I hope this doesn't turn into a case where WWE/TKO, they kind of go, look, man, we know we got you in here as an ambassador. We're kind of looking the other way with you doing your thing with the podcast and all that other stuff. But like, you got to tread lightly here, man. Like, what are you doing with this stupid shit over here? You're dealing with this ham and egger over here and Eric Cannon. Like, come on, man. That's not helping Avery. That's not helping you. It damn sure is hurting you. It's making you look kind of bad. AJ should not have given this any legs whatsoever. By commenting on it, he gave it more leg support. And that's just not good. And then proceeding to call the guy a douche and all that other shit. If AJ wanted to say something, I think the best thing that he could have done was share a picture of himself with Avery after that match at GCW and put a caption in there that basically in response to what Eric had put out, put this picture with a caption that reads, as a father, I couldn't be any more prouder of my son. Haters are going to hate, but Avery, you kill that noise. You keep doing you. And I promise you, you will take the wrestling world by storm. Keep at it. Keep doing the work. Right? That way you're kind of, it's a nice little quiet, subtle little shot, but at the same time, you're not really feeding directly into that noise and all that other shit. And now it just seems like the Eric Cannon dude is just continuing to lean heavily into this because he's seeing the engagements, and without a doubt, whenever he decides to talk about it on his YouTube channel, he's probably gonna get some AJ Styles fans that's gonna be hating on his ass. But guess what? They're going to be helping out with his watch time. They're going to be helping out with, even if they're disliking his video, they're still giving him the engagement, and that's ultimately going to be feeding the YouTube algorithm, and it's going to be recommending that video across people's feeds and all that. So, you're still helping the dude out, like legit. Um, I remember when I was on the Chris Jericho triple whammy cruise. One thing I did not talk about, because as soon as I saw this stuff that went down with Avery, I just automatically had thought about this. I remember seeing a whole bunch of different wrestlers for the whole time that I was there on the cruise. I remember seeing a whole crop of different wrestlers that were setting up the ring. I'm not going to mention any names, but let me put it to you this way. I saw wrestlers who did not yet get any TV time. And this was during the time where AEW Dark was still a thing. I was seeing wrestlers that weren't even getting AEW Dark time that were setting up the ring. I was seeing wrestlers who had been on the indies, on the free agency scene for like years. And now they're eating good. You're seeing them on AEW main television every single week. And they eating good now, right? Now they're recognizable, that we're helping set up the ring. So I say that to say, don't try to tell me, oh, this is a situation where you're young and you're paying your dues. It's like, and then try to say, well, of course that person, that veteran person did it. They're humbled, they know all, like, no, don't hit me with all that. What you need to understand is, especially if you are a promoter, if it bothers you that much that you have certain talents that are operating a certain way, well, then what you need to do as a promoter is go, okay, so I'm paying X amount of money for this talent. I don't care if they are a special attraction or not. I need to have them come in. They're going to be doing XYZ. And I'm going to let them know that also for this amount of money, I'm expecting them to help set up the ring. I'm expecting them to help set up the chairs. Be transparent. Be transparent. If that's what you're expecting them to do as part of the whole experience, or however you want to dub it, then be upfront with them. At least you can say that way you're really starting to weed things out and all that. I don't think the guy is lying about Avery, hey, this person, this kid was asked twice. And well, no shit, the kid is probably gonna. How many kids do you know that have worked whatever job? And especially if it's retail. Hey, can you take this cart of shot backs? Items that you got to put back on the shelves and all that, right? Can you take this back? And you're like, man, I got like 15 minutes to go before the damn shift is over. Man, this shit probably gonna take me about a half hour to do. What the fuck, right? And you probably gonna take that card and you gonna ditch it somewhere, you know, pull a Fred Flintstone, yabba dabba doo. But guess what? The next time you come in for that shift, that cart gonna be waiting on your ass, right? Or we've all been in that position where we didn't want to do something and we were asked like twice to do it. And does that make us a horrible person? Does that mean that we're not paying our dues? Does that no? That just means obviously there was something that we did not want to do. And usually in a situation like that, most young people get pulled to the side and they get told the importance of, hey, this is why this is a big deal. This is why you need to operate this way and not go this way. but that is something that happens fucking face to face with people. I am so fucking sick and tired of this digitalized age that we're in, where if we got to air out our grievances with one another, if we got beef with each other, that we got to air shit out. We got to air out the dirty laundry publicly on social media. And we just talked about the whole Ric Flair thing. Nerve wracking. It really, really is nerve wracking. I expected better from AJ, and I hope going forward he does better. This this Eric Cannon dude, he obviously feels a certain way and he's entitled to feel that way. But at the end of the day, Avery is not his kid. And if it bothers him that much, now look, this could be an angle. We all could just be taken in for some type of a ride, and maybe this is, but I'm kind of not really getting that vibe. I got to be honest with you. I'm kind of not getting that vibe. But if it turns out this is a work, bravo and smart to all parties that involved. But let's just assume that no, it's not an angle. This is like legit. What does that say about the Avery Cannon dude to be going after somebody's kid? It just makes them come off like a fucking troll, doesn't it? It makes them come off like a fucking asshole. Enough said. Let's see. Other than that, I think that's it. Hey, if you guys had saw during the past couple of days, was working behind the scenes on the YouTube channel doing some I had a guy that was helping me out with the YouTube channel, and basically he was trying to help me out with watch time hours and everything, and he did a really good job. I basically had came across him, a friend of a friend, and I was like, "Hey, man, like here's what's going on." And he's like, "Yeah, I can help you out with that. Let's go ahead and let's start putting in the work." I said, "Okay, bet." So we went on ahead and we start putting in the work. I see you guys. Okay, we're okay now. I'm looking at the YouTube stream. The YouTube stream is kind of buffering a little bit. If it's buffering for you, my YouTube audience, just try refreshing and you guys should be good. I'm watching on my mobile device and the picture quality is actually good. So you might have to just refresh on your respected end. But what was I saying there before? Yeah, so I had him working behind the scenes, helping me out with my watch time hours. He was going over my channel analytics and trying to help me strategize and everything. So if you had noticed some stuff the past couple of days, that's kind of what was going on behind the scenes. So his work is now complete. Everything is back to normal as usual, and very excited for that. By the way, shout out to you guys that's been subscribing to the YouTube channel for like the past several days. I was looking at it, I'm like, oh wow, shit, like that's it was a great 1-2 punch because the work that my guy was doing, and then doing the Raising Canaan post show, and then some other content, you guys were just like eating it up. And then I saw for the podcast, you guys were really representing, and you guys were shout out to my people in New York, shout out to my people in Maryland, DC, California, Texas, Virginia, Utah, North Carolina, South Carolina. Y'all were like the top states in the United States representing the show this past week when you were checking out the show. So I appreciate that. Looks like downloads have went up too for the Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. It looks like as well. So I appreciate you guys that were showing a lot of love there. So that is it. We're at the 2-hour, 18-minute mark. As far as programming notes, Tammy wants me to pitch to her some of the stuff we're going to be talking about for a episode of Wrestling with the Topics. I know I've had that show on hiatus the past couple of weeks because everything that's been going on with the mother-in-law. She's doing a lot better. We're still waiting for her to be discharged. Nothing has changed. But everything's good with her health wise. Knock on wood, everything continues to be good. But me and Tams are definitely going to be sitting down this week for sure. We're sitting down this week to do a live wrestling with the topics. So we just got to figure out what's kind of like up in the air right now. We're not really sure when Moms is going to be discharged because it could happen anywhere between now and potentially Saturday. So once we kind of figure out how that's going to play out, then we'll gladly sit down. There's a lot we want to get into. I can tell you right now, just kind of give you guys a little bit of a preview. We're definitely going to go over some of the major shakeups that's been happening with the Washington Commanders. Look at their current schedule. We'll also look at your Super Bowl champions from this past season. We'll look at their schedule, roster moves that they've been making in the off season as well. We also want to talk about the Roland Martin controversy. I don't know if you guys have looked into that within the past week, but my God, holy shit. That's all I got to say. Look that up if you don't know what I'm talking about in anticipation. There was one other thing I said to her, yo, look at this. We need to, I know she wants to go see the new Spider-Man movie. So I would think we're probably gonna somehow squeeze that in this weekend as well, and then talk about it on the show. So, but that is going to be in the pipeline this week slash weekend. Your next solo edition with yours truly is going to be happening on Monday, August 17th, 2026, soon as WWE Raw goes off the air. And in the meantime, I want you guys to be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed for on demand and on the downloads, wherever you get your podcast. Just search the RCWR show, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. You can get at me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. I knew I almost forgot something. I saved the documentary. I want you guys to watch it too. And I know we're going to talk about it on Wrestling with the Topics. The EPD 445 guy, he apparently did a sit down interview with Chris Hansen that just, now look, it's free on YouTube right now, but you wouldn't know it because everybody and their mama is doing reviews for it. And as a result of that, and I'm even noticing that the people that are reviewing it, they're not even giving proper links so that people can go watch the documentary itself. How can you do that? You're being given a documentary to watch for free on YouTube right now. And all you have to do is just go in your goddamn YouTube video description and post the link to backtrack to and encourage people. Hey, check out the description video for the link. You got to watch this documentary. And instead, people are acting like the documentary does not exist on YouTube. Like I don't get that. So I want to make sure that you guys are aware of this. So if you go on youtube.com and you type in EPD 445 documentary, and I'm literally doing it right now. So as soon as you do that, you unfortunately come across a bunch of recappers and all that, which is really unfortunate. But do you want to hang on here? Hang on here. Yeah, a lot of people are just doing it wrong, and I don't know how the guy in question, how he has tagged it, but he's obviously not tagging it right because you should be coming across it easily here. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to type in the YouTube search Mike Klum, because that's the director basically. Klum is spelled Clum. I want you to type in Mike Klum, and we're doing this together right now. So as soon as you type in Mike Klum, he's the very first thing that you see. It's a white guy, looks like a kind of like a black and white photo. Looks like he has 243 subscribers, and it says producer of documentaries, right? Give the guy give the guy a subscribe. But as soon as you click on his little avatar, you can see the documentary. There's no paywall, nothing. You're able to watch it. It's an hour, 34 minutes, right? It just dropped like within the last 24 hours. So check that out and then circle back to this weekend's Wrestling with the Topic, because me and Tams will be talking about this documentary. So if you want to know our thoughts about it, you definitely want to tune in for that. Okay. I'm actually, I don't know. I might try to sneak in a little watch right now with this bad boy. I don't know. Maybe if I can pull it off, I might. I'm gonna wait for Tams. I want to experience it in real time with her. I'm definitely gonna check it out. All right, guys, that is it. I am shutting this down. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this deluxe edition. Enjoy these for what it's worth, because as we get closer and closer to the end of the month, we're gonna have to be going back to our old format of doing like about 75 minutes, because with the fall semester coming up, and I've got like short turnarounds on my Tuesdays and Thursdays for classes. My first class kicks off at like 8 in the morning, but my commute is going to begin at 6:30 in the morning. So I'm going to have to be getting up extra early on those nights. So means we're going to be doing more shorter condensed shows, but we probably will make up by doing a bonus show later in the week or whatnot. We'll play it by ear, but just don't worry. I'll remind you guys again as it gets closer. Until next go around, wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. Have a good night, good morning. Enjoy the rest of the week, and I'll catch you next time.